Welcome to Tikiman and the Viking podcast. He is Tikiman.
I am H.B. Barlow, the author of the historical crime fiction series The Wichita Chronicles, with the recently released The End of the Treachery, Volume 2. And he is the Viking.
I am William Bryan Johnson, author of Hell to Pay, author of The Dark Cry of Aristid, and coming soon, Middle-Aged Man in a Trash Can.
Woo-hoo. We'll have a lot of more discussion on that one coming up.
Hopefully should have a date pending.
Yep. Thanks. Welcome back to part 2 of our roundtable with our guests, DeBoard and Bonnie Tharp.
Bonnie is a lifetime resident of Kansas. Bonnie Tharp graduated magna cum laude. Is it magna cum laude?
Magna cum laude.
Okay, whatever. She graduated impressively with a bachelor's of arts in communications, women minority studies, and fine arts. She's published 3 books in the women's fiction genre and 4 romantic suspense novels, and has another in the works. She received local, state, and national awards for her novels, short stories, children's picture books, and playwright writing. I will learn to talk here. Bonnie has been married forever to a great guy. They have an amazing son, 2 grown-up grandsons, and a spoiled, rotten canine. You can see her stuff at Bonnie Tharp Books, and I will have links in the bios.
Indeed. And DeBoard is just a simple horror writer living in the bleak state of Kansas. Recently, he has grown weary of the limitations of his craft when it comes to scares. Sure, he has terrified many, thanks to having 4 published books to his name.
Dude, let a horror writer read this. I mean, come on.
Sure, he has terrified many, thanks to having 4 published books to his name, as well as being featured in dozens of horror anthologies. But the fear from those stories wears off. He wishes to create something so horrific that it lingers in the reader's mind for years to come. I could do it like Christopher Walken. Creating something of such unfathomable terror would cement him in the brains of those who purchase his books. Plus, it would be like he left a piece of himself in each copy of his work. A small bit of himself that can grow and watch, waiting for the right time to deliver a final fright.
Why did you end on Shatner? You started with Walken, you ended on Shatner.
I have no notes.
It's a segue. Thanks for joining us, guys. We're having a discussion on writers, creatives' use of social media. We ended with a discussion which we all agreed is like face-to-face is so much better, but this is a discussion about social media. So when we can't get out to the writers' conferences or the local authors' day, what are your preferred methods? Bonnie, what's your preferred method of reaching out to your writers on social media?
Instagram is probably my first go-to, and then I follow up with Facebook. I spend the first hour of every freaking day looking at social media.
Sounds about right.
I do. I mean, I'm sitting there drinking coffee, trying to wake up, and flipping through and seeing what people are up to, and seeing who's publishing what, and
Yeah, I mean, if I'm being completely honest, if I wasn't a writer, all my social media would be gone. I don't like social media for the most part. I feel like it just takes away a little bit from life in some aspects.
It does.
But there is this connecting that happens with social media that I just adore.
Mm-hmm.
HB and Brian, I wouldn't have kept too much in touch if I was just completely off social media. So it's unfortunately it's a double-edged sword.
So it's a tool for you. So what percentage of your platform or of your writing experience is social media, and how much time do you put into your writing versus your social media?
Oh, that's a good question. Dang. I would say it's probably, unfortunately, about a quarter on social media, and 75% writing, editing, all that sort of like admin work with writing. Just because, marketing is such an important part of writing, and truly social media is how you do the marketing. It's how you do that. And it's a lot of times I'm sitting there staring at my phone for like 10 minutes going like, how do I promote this thing?
Right.
And just going like, or just doing something dumb, going like, let me grab a couple snippet reviews from Goodreads, and then I can't fit it in Instagram because they're...
Or how many times do you jump over for those snippets and then you find something else, go down that rabbit hole, and you go, what was I doing a good
Exactly.
Frequently.
Yeah.
But it's still good to hear somebody reference the fact that the majority of the time is spent on their craft versus on the marketing aspect of it. And that's I imagine out there in the publishing world, there are people that are not focused on craft, that are putting out work after work after work, and most of their efforts are on the marketing and the promotion, and they're just putting out stuff.
Right.
Which is a shame.
And sadly, I think with the march of AI, we're starting to see a lot of authors just using AI.
Right.
And putting out books many, many times a year.
Yeah.
Which unfortunately that just adds.
Disgusting.
I think AI has its place. I think AI will work into it. And I use AI. I use AI art and things like that. But I fear it just puts out more static for us to have to work through.
It should be used as like more of an enhancer or something to help you, but not, okay, let me plug this prompt into it and get a book out of it, which is, it's wild to think that's a possibility.
Well, and now they have authors that are training essentially their past works into the AI.
Oh, no.
To see what they can generate. So.
Oh, you're kidding.
No, you can actually train an AI bot on your writing if you have, I think it's over 1 million words.
That just feels wrong.
It does.
It also feels like you're handicapping yourself, because once it's in there, someone else can come along and go, well, hey, look at Brian fed his writing style into the prompt. Let me just quickly.
Well, and I played around a while back, and I said, I was playing around with Claude AI, and I said, do a story by Ray Bradbury about zombies.
Yeah.
And it sounded like Ray Bradbury.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
See, I don't get that kind of positive response. I use a program called Grammarly for punctuation and stuff. It's perfect for that.
But that's what Grammarly is for.
But now they have an AI.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
and I tried it to see what it was like. And it drove me bats.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really?
It interrupts you when you're writing in the messages that pops out.
Oh, that is true.
And I mean, I could not get a flow going because it was just constantly saying,
like you're
you
driving
did this.
down a dirt road and you're bumping everywhere.
And she started turning to Jack Nicholson from The Shining, saying, when I'm writing, when I'm not writing, when you hear me, just stay out.
But Grammarly says, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy.
Well, I mean, that's it's whatever happened. It's hard to separate the notion of what's going to happen in the writing world versus what you prefer to do.
And actually, let me piggyback one thing on the AI. One thing I'm looking at is AI video. I haven't gotten into that yet. I've used AI art for 3-4 years now, and I feel like I can do pretty good things with it. Now, I mean, yeah, I wish I had the money that I could pay an author every time I wanted a character sketch. I don't, so that's why I use AI. But the idea of being able to actually make a video and have some fairly good-looking things, as long as it's not hallucinating and people are melting into stuff.
That's unless, of course, that's what you're writing.
Right.
And that sounds like what I'm looking for.
Right, it's there for you. But, I'm starting to see on Instagram, there's a lot of people that are releasing AI voice, AI video, AI scripts. And it's not good stuff.
It's not good at all.
Mm-hmm.
There was the Toys R Us tried to do a commercial, and they released it, and they used full AI, and it is atrocious. And it's like, wow, fire whoever at your company decided that was a good idea, because they have if you look at it, it's got cars just parked not on the street when they're doing when it goes through wide shots, but they're parked in front of the store and kind of into it. And you're like, well, that's not how that works.
Well,
and just stuff like that.
And don't forget the signs that popped up that said Spirit Halloween.
Yeah.
Well, and don't forget too, the notion that anything done by AI is truly a measure of creativity. It is not. It's replication.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Would the whole feisty family, the word, the implication, the name of the family, the implication of the word as it's used regularly, that's something that's creative. Okay? That's something that resonates. And then, of course, from that, you build this series that you can play off of. That's creativity. AI, give me a story about a family, a dysfunctional family, and what are we going to read? Tolstoy?
Wait a second, this is Different Strokes.
Yeah,
There you go.
exactly.
So,
but there's so much of it on social media now. the AI. It's creeping into stuff. I've seen a lot of videos, and I've seen snippets of things that people have written, and it doesn't sound human to me.
Right.
And I think even some of the trolls now are bots that are AI powered.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, and here's the other thing. I just mentioned recently to my wife about a funny cat video that I saw. And I was just telling her, so she would laugh because we have cats, we're into cats, right? First thing she said to me is, how do you know that was real? So my wife, who's not a writer.
Oh, that sounds like my husband.
The spouse who is not the writer has already been impacted by wondering, is it real?
Is it real?
Right.
Yeah.
Now, granted, the video that I saw of the cat actually baking a cake, not the with their paws, and that is AI. I know that, but I mean, we are getting to a point where we're going to ask what is real. That video.
But doesn't a cat play piano somewhere on TikTok?
There's the viral YouTube vid. Yeah, I mean, you can tell because of the way, like, it's clearly the cat is being puppeted, but I feel like if you did it AI, there would be something off.
Yeah.
It's not quite
Seven
to
toes.
Yeah.
It's almost to that, not quite there, but that uncanny valley feel from AI. It's not that good just quite yet, but that feeling of like, it's almost there, but just something is off.
And the scary thing is, we're seeing new generations pop up every 6 months.
Yeah, no.
And so, are we only 2 generations, 3 generations from foolproof?
Well, I hope this podcast doesn't end in a year because nobody needs us anymore.
Let's have AI do it.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Can I have an AI bot wearing these shirts? Come on.
Ugh.
I am AI Tikiman.
I am AI Viking.
No.
Well, that's. I mean, so until that point when we become obsolete, I think we're going to keep doing what we're doing.
I think we'll probably
Does beyond the marketing aspect? Okay, so Radar, you talked about 75% of your work is the actual craft and so forth. To what degree do you get any inspiration from social media? I mean, you scroll. Bonnie talked about her first hour of the day scroll. Do you guys get any inspiration at all? Get ideas from social media when you're just scrolling?
Actually, I mean, I don't.
I don't either.
Yeah, unfortunately, no, not on my part. But I feel like I take a lot of what, either it's just some weird idea that comes into my head, because I write about a lot of, like, weird monsters and stuff like that. So it just will pop into my head. Or it's something that happened in real life, and, like, I use horror as a medium to kind of turn people's perspective and go, like, hey, this is, an issue that's plaguing the world. And it's much more easily digestible if you use, like, a lens of horror, kind of like with comedy. Right. It's a great way to do it there. So, I mean, that option doesn't normally pop up when I'm scrolling through social media to go, like, oh, this or that. On TikTok, it's a little bit different because there is, it's a longer format. People can post up to 10-minute videos. So you could get videos that are talking about real life things that are occurring and everything. But I don't think I've ever gotten inspiration from that. Maybe it's bolstered it a little bit. Okay. But not for, say, like, oh, the idea came from this.
Well, see, in my case, I follow a Wichita history group on Facebook. And that, every once in a while somebody posts something, especially a photo.
Yeah.
All it takes is a photo. I see the photo first, and I go, okay, that's an interesting building. Yeah. Somebody's writing about so-and-so building, and look what it is now, and so forth. That's minor inspiration, but it gives me the building blocks for something that I'm already doing. Maybe not inspiration. Maybe that was the wrong kind of question, but I get some ideas or some building blocks for what I'm doing. But that's genre specific, where, like you said, you can't find what you're looking for from the horror perspective, but I can find history on this Facebook group.
Well, and I'll say I follow a lot of Viking history type things, and one of the things that came up was the saga of Rolf Krake, which is essentially what the saga of Aldir is based on.
There you go.
And if I never would have saw that, I never would have known.
Right.
And probably, I had loose ideas of what I wanted to do. That solidified it. And that's been essentially the 4th book.
Yeah.
So. I have to admit, I do get some inspiration from some of the groups that I follow, but not for my writing. I reacquainted myself with the paintbrush. And I've been painting since I retired. And one of the I mean, I do the sunsets and sunrises in Kansas, and I do the aurora borealis, and I do, all these kinds of things, and that inspires me.
If you ever want to look through my photos,
I've
got
love
tons.
to.
They're all online. I'll show you where.
All right, good.
And, you could possibly put your link on this episode too, so people can find your
My other
there
life.
your other
Your
life.
other life.
There you go.
Rumination of Thunder.
Yes, rumination. Ruminationifthunder.com. Hopefully, it won't be about drought forecasting.
Oh my
next
God.
year. We'll see what
let's
happens.
not, please.
I'll go there. I'll go there.
And Tikiman and the Viking podcast will return in a couple weeks for part 3 of our roundtable discussion with BD Tharp and Radar DeBoard. Until then, keep reading and take care. Tikiman and the Viking podcast brought to you by Rumination of Thunder Media. The following intro and outro music was used for this media project. The music Find Them by Alexander Nakrata. Free download from filmmusic.io. License Creative Commons Attribution 4.0 International.